First episode of Iman Sports, brought to you by Iman TV. You can catch our show live every week on Jadu TV, satellite, YouTube after our shows are recorded, and on iman-tv.com. My name is Yama, Hazheer. These are my professional analysts by my side. Tariq, Ahmad on my left, Massie, Majidi on my right. Professional analysts, folks, that's going to bring you sports news and in-depth analysis that you're not going to see anywhere else. Sports, much like news, something new happening every day. And our main focus is going to be to bring you guys not only recaps and stats and interviews from our own Afghan athletes, but to also familiarize you guys with Afghan athletes around the Bay Area or even across the globe and other nations that you might not know of, but get to know a little bit more after watching our show. There are going to be players that are going to be on the downfall that we're going to showcase, and other players on the rise that we're going to have player highlights for and player focuses on. Mainly, our show is going to bring in-depth analysis. You're not going to see it anywhere else. We're going to be talking about different players, teams, coaches. We're going to be dissecting it from top to bottom. We're going to have you guys covered on everything you need to know when it comes to sports. We're going to be talking about basketball, football, baseball, soccer, maybe our very own Buzkashi from time to time. Yeah. We're going to be talking about tennis, hockey, you name it. We got you guys covered. Today, we're going to cover you guys on a few topics. We're going to start out with some basketball since we all know it is NBA Finals season. NBA Finals always exciting to watch, guys. We got a really good battle between the San Antonio Spurs and the Miami Heat, who many predicted to be here in this position, but I guess they're not really making the Spurs feel the heat in this series so far. 2 games in, going into San Antonio for games 3 and 4. It's going to be tough for the Heat to overcome, but the hole that they've dug for themselves, giving up a game at home is always tough, especially in the NBA Finals. And when you're having guys like LeBron James and Dwayne Wade struggling in the fourth quarter, it's always going to be hard. Massie, what do you think about LeBron's performance? He did have 18 points, 18 rebounds, 10 assists, but disappeared in the fourth quarter in that game 1 against the Spurs.
And everyone was counting on LeBron. Everyone knew LeBron was going to play good. Everyone knew he was going to have an amazing game. Yep. And he had a close to amazing game. He didn't show much up in the fourth quarter, but he had an amazing game. And when you look at what people are talking about, they're like, the Heat need a collective effort. They need points from Miller. They need points from Ray Allen. They need points from down the box score.
Maybe even Birdman.
Yeah, maybe even Birdman.
Birdman.
And they were getting these points. They were getting the points down the chart. They were up. When you get into the fourth quarter, that's when you need to grind out. It's crunch time. That's when you need to win the game. And they just didn't have a superstar to step up. And when you have LeBron James on your team, when you have Dwayne Wade on your team, when you have Chris Bosh on your team,
boo-boo Chris Bosh, actually.
Yeah, boo-boo Chris Bosh. Someone's going to have to step up, and someone's going to have to get that 8+ points in that fourth quarter to put their team up and to put their team in a position.
And if you're going to call yourself King James, we kind of expect 14+ points in that fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Tariq, Spurs doing a great job so far defensively. As expected, they do have the best coach in the league right now in Greg Popovich. They do have Kawhi Leonard, whose athleticism is giving LeBron some trouble. Danny Green even at times. What do you see LeBron doing to adjust to Spurs defense, and can he show that he is living up to his name?
In the pre-finals interview, LeBron said he was 20 times, 50 times, 70 times better than he was in 2007. And I kind of saw that in the first half, the way he's distributing the ball, the way he was attacking the Spurs, and he wasn't forcing it much. And then I felt like there's something Greg Popovich did, or maybe LeBron just shrank down in the second half where he didn't attack as much. He was more passive than, we've seen usual LeBron. Because LeBron, we've seen in the fourth quarter in these playoffs where he is passive, but then, he has that killer mentality. Where
maybe a little too passive.
Exactly. Yeah. So, we saw LeBron only had 6 points in the fourth quarter. Yeah. That gets it done if you're an all-star, if you're, just a role player.
6-man.
But when you're, like you said, when you're the king of the world or you're the best player in basketball, you got to have more than 6 points against this San Antonio Spurs. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm looking at the box score. Leonard had 10 points, 10 rebounds, and then Timmy had 20 points. Parker had 21 points. Manu had 13 points. So LeBron, in my opinion, he had to step up and play a little better. But I guess that wasn't his game.
And not to mention, Tony Parker did have that really clutch shot. Got it right over LeBron with 2 seconds left in that shot clock.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you guys think of Tony Parker so far?
Tony Parker's playing like the best point guard in the league right now.
And the best player in the finals right now.
So far. I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Tracy McGrady called him the best point guard in the league.
Yeah, I wouldn't. When you're on the same team as a guy, you're gonna want to
Yeah.
hype him up a little bit. But I wouldn't throw any of that in the trash. I mean, Tony Parker's a great player.
Yep.
He has an amazing jump
He's
shot.
been living up to.
Yeah, he's lethal with that jumper. So, and when he can get open,
And then
play
that
off
little
screens,
hook.
and put Duncan into the game. He's I wouldn't throw that in the trash right away. He's a great player.
And going off from the Spurs, let's talk a little bit about the Heat. I mean, Ray Allen was a key acquisition for the Miami Heat in the offseason. He had 3 3-pointers in the game, 13 points off the bench. I mean, something you would expect from him. What else can we expect from Ray Allen for the rest of the playoffs? I mean, the rest of the finals. He does have finals experience with Boston, does have a championship ring. Will his bench play be enough to help the Heat win a couple of games?
I think that's enough. I mean, that's a lot. That's actually enough that you could ask from bench players to come in and score 13 points and hit 3 threes. But the thing is, Ray Allen, that's his job. That's why the Heat brought him in this offseason, to have that clutch player alongside LeBron, alongside D Wade and Bosh, and just in case, one of them was struggling, or maybe all 3 of them are struggling. There's someone to buy that bucket. And there's nothing I could say about Allen doing it. I mean, he did his job.
Forward.
Exactly. He did his job. He hit his threes. I think it really came down to Tony Parker finishing the game, to be honest. I'm going to touch back on what Massie said earlier. Tony Parker, I think he's the best point guard in the game right now, especially with Russell Westbrook out. I thought he was the best point guard in the playoffs.
Russell Westbrook is it?
I think in the playoffs so far, if Westbrook would have played.
No love for Curry?
I love Curry, but then Russell Westbrook's my boy. And I've always loved him, and I love his game, the way he plays with his heart out and all that. Exactly. But, Tony Parker, he really controls the game. It's not just scoring. I mean, he only had 21 points, which is not a lot. But you saw in the fourth quarter down the stretch, the way he was handling the ball, the way he was, distributing and, get his teammates involved. I think he really changed the game in the fourth quarter down the stretch. So there's nothing that he could do except for Mr. Bosh to show up and get more than 5 rebounds. I mean, LeBron. You can't expect LeBron to have 18 rebounds every game, and 5. I don't think 5 is enough. So Bosh got
not at all. When you're a 6'10" power forward, the only legit big man on that team. Going back to Tony Parker, he did have 21 points, but every single one of those points that he scored in the game was valuable to his team.
Especially the last two.
Last two, that 360 spin.
Yep.
And touching back on the Ray Allen acquisition, if there was a last shot, Miami Heat down by 1 in the finals, you go to LeBron, Wade, or Ray Allen. Who do you guys have? Who do you give the ball to, Massie?
LeBron, no doubt. I'd give him the ball. He's the king of the court, and he's actually proven that he can take that last shot now. With that Pacers
our
series.
last layup.
yeah. Well, he's still getting a bucket. So, if I could get the ball to anyone, it'd be with LeBron.
LeBron?
I would actually disagree with that. Actually, if you're looking for just a bucket, you just need a 3 or a 2 tie the game or to win the game. Ray Allen's perfect jump shooter to shoot that ball.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for somebody to put the ball and you could drive the lane or maybe a spot up shoot. I mean, shoot the ball or make the right basketball play. D Wade and LeBron, I think they're equal to me. Even though I think D Wade is a little clutcher, D Wade I think a lot clutcher compared to LeBron. But if you just need a bucket, Ray Allen.
Yeah, but at the same time, D Wade hasn't been in that position in a while.
Well, he's injured.
Yeah, and he hasn't. As of right now, I wouldn't give him the ball in the last second.
I would.
I'd keep it. I'd give it to LeBron. I mean, he's proven it this year that he can actually score.
Absolutely.
And
Mike Miller, anyone?
And just I think if you inbound the ball to Ray Allen, I think a defender could just lock him down because of his age.
Unless he's coming off a screen.
Yep.
Yeah, if he's coming off a screen, maybe LeBron.
Going back on injuries a little bit. We have Manu Ginobili at 13.2 threes in the last game. Tariq, what do you see out of Manu for the rest of the series?
Ginobili, Ginobili will be the Ginobili we've all known our entire lives. He's that feisty player. He's a very clutch player. I mean, he didn't
crafty with the ball still.
Exactly. He didn't have a lot of points. Only ended up with 13. But I remember that third quarter, he had those two threes that let Spurs take the lead.
Yeah.
So Ginobili's one of those guys where even if he has an off game, in the fourth quarter, you'll expect him to be there.
He makes something out of it.
Exactly. So he'll be there. I mean, against the Warriors, remember back, I think it was game 2.
Don't even.
He messed up on the 3. He came back, hit the game winner. If I'm not mistaken.
Game 1.
That's Ginobili.
Heartbreak.
That's Ginobili right there.
Yeah, this is Ginobili.
Yep.
And not only that, he has more playoff experience than possibly anyone on the Heat.
Yeah.
I mean, what adjustments do you think Eric Spoelstra has to make the Heat a little more comparable or even competitive with San Antonio, Greg Popovich?
Well, me and Tariq were actually talking before the game and even after the game, and we're talking about how LeBron was really passive with the ball.
Yep.
And he wasn't taking those jumpers, those 18-foot jumpers that he was taking in that Pacers series, that he was taking this whole year, where he showed that he evolved his game and he was taking those deep shots. But now he's going back to how he was last year. He's passing the ball, he's distributing, and he wants to kill the Spurs with their own poison, which is teamwork. But when you're the best player on the court, you need to take over and take initiative to go get those buckets, and get those 10-plus points in that fourth quarter.
Exactly. And like you touched on it, LeBron's got to have another monster series. He doesn't have to average 40, 50, but he's got to average, around 28, 27 like he did against the Pacers. Bosh has got to rebound. To be honest, I mean, I know the Spurs are in Roy Hibbert, David West, they're not as big, but I think if Bosh rebounds, that gets him going offensively. And he needs to post up a little more. I don't know what he's doing in the three-point line. He's not Dirk. He's not Dirk. He's not, one of those shooters where you rely on him. So get him in the post. And D. Wade, he has 0 points in the fourth quarter. And even though I know he's hurt, I know his knee is a problem so far in the playoffs, but I think he could score at least 2 points in the fourth quarter, if not 10
Get
or 5.
to the free throw line, something.
Get to the free throw line. Just to bring it out, LeBron only had 4 free throws the entire game. That's either the refs helping the Spurs or LeBron just not going to the bucket. Yeah. So LeBron, I think it comes down to LeBron changing his game. He's got to post up more and drive more. And be more aggressive. How about that?
And give credit to Thiago Splitter and Tim Duncan.
Yep.
Yeah, and they're the big man on the Spurs. Actually, they're forcing Chris Bosh not to post up.
Yep.
And Chris Bosh is just trying to take those threes. He can't go in because those big men. They have a good big man rotation down there in San Antonio.
These teams are out there. They're playing hard. They're playing physical. They're playing.
Bosh is not that type of guy.
Yeah. I know my Bosh, but I'm talking about the teams in general. I know. You know how well they were playing the first game, that they only had 10 turnovers combined, 4 of them coming from San Antonio. I mean, if you have 4 turnovers in a game, but you're shooting
on the road,
and you're shooting 41%, doesn't matter. You're still gonna win the game. Yeah. Real quick, guys, I got San Antonio winning in 6 still.
I still stick with my Heat in 6.
Yeah, I'll agree with Tariq. I'll take Heat in 6.
Heat in 6.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. Game 3 is in San Antonio on Tuesday, tomorrow night. Yeah. Moving on from the NBA Finals, another key move that's happened this offseason. So semi-offseason, you guys can say. The Denver Nuggets have fired George Karl after 8 years in Denver. Yeah. I mean, it's a sad loss for the Denver Nuggets. I mean, the curse of Coach of the Year strikes again, Tariq. And do you see anyone pick up George Karl, one of the only 6 coaches in the league, 1,000 wins? Is he coach again, or is he retiring?
I think George Karl will be the Andy Reid of basketball. You know how Andy Reid got fired and found a job that easily? Yeah. So I think George Karl will find a job. There's no doubt about it. He could coach. But I think if I'm looking at the Denver Nuggets, they let go of their GM. The guy who built that team.
Executive of the year.
Exactly. Yeah. And they let go of Coach of the Year. And on the market, I don't really see a coach that could develop these young guys, especially JaVale McGee. Yeah, I don't see any coach out there that could develop these young guys the way George Karl did.
Definitely not.
So I love the Nuggets. I think they're a great team and they're on the rise. They're young players. They could obviously get better. They have the potential to be, that number 2, 3 in the West. But I don't see a coach that could actually do the job that George Karl did.
And going off from that, George Karl being the Andy Reid of the NFL. What do you see in the future for the Denver Nuggets, Massie? I mean, they have Ty Lawson, Andre Iguodala finally started playing better in the second half of the season in the playoffs. Kenneth Faried, so another really good player addition to that team. And also, not to forget, Danilo Gallinari is going to be back from injury.
Yeah, and Wilson Chandler
as well. I mean, without George Karl as head coach, not without a coach right now, talent-wise, on paper, do you still see the team doing as good?
Well, the Nuggets, I believe, will be a playoff threat for the next 5-6 years. And I'll guarantee that. They have Kenneth Faried, who's going to be a superstar eventually. He's gonna be that. He's gonna be that guy that's gonna get 11, 12 boards. He's gonna be that guy that'll be on the All-Star team in the upcoming years. And when you have Andre Iguodala and Ty Lawson, I don't know if AI is gonna be there for that much longer. But when you have Ty Lawson, you have Gallinari. Hopefully, he'll come off good off that injury, and Wilson Chandler coming out of his shell, and of course JaVale McGee is a project. But when you have that much talent. Yeah, you're gonna make a splash in the playoffs every year, but at the same time, they're a team that relies on the 3 ball. They have to work on Kenneth Faried's post game. They have to work on a bunch of few things and just to get that teamwork together and get that collective defense. And then we'll see if they actually make runs for the Western Conference Championship. So
hopefully they don't face our Warriors again.
Yeah,
don't worry. Doesn't matter. I think Nuggets are always gonna be that team that's gonna be there. But I don't know if they have the tools to get over it, because in the playoffs you always need that guy in the fourth quarter to just come in and just carry your team like.
Can Ty Lawson be that guy?
He can be, but I think he's only 5'11" or 6 foot.
5'11",
5'11", 6 foot, something like that.
6 foot on paper.
Defense could actually take him, away from the game, away from the play.
Unless you're Allen Iverson.
Allen Iverson had the heart, and I don't see anybody in the game has the heart that, except Russell Westbrook maybe, that has the heart that Iverson did. And like I said, with Ty Lawson, you could double him, and then take the ball out of his hands. And I don't see anybody else in that team that could make the superstar play. So it's tough to see Nuggets, let go of Coach of the Year. It's really
that really throws off their whole team chemistry.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
See what Denver does in the future. Hopefully they have a successful season just like they did this past one. Looking at moving on from basketball, we're gonna move on to some baseball news. I mean, Giants, A's always making big moves in the Bay Area. We had the A's, who are actually first in the AL West right now. Not too many people expected that starting the season, as the A's putting in work this year. But hopefully it's not one of those seasons once again where they're doing well and they trade away main players. I know the fans love Coco Crisp. They want to see him stay there. And with a name like that, how can you not love a player such as Coco Crisp? They have scored 295 runs so far in the league, so they're doing a really good job. They're about in the middle of the pack, ranked 15th in runs. Moving on to the other side of the Bay, we have the San Francisco Giants. Not doing as well as people expected. They are the defending world champions of baseball, won a couple times in the past few years. And guys, I don't think we're going to see another parade in SF this year. That's going to be revolving baseball at least for a while. I mean, the Giants, once again, they're 250 in runs this year, which makes them 18th in the league thus far, but they're not getting the job done on the road. They've been doing good at AT&T Park, but when it comes to on the road, I mean, we've seen them in Colorado struggling, Arizona struggling. Even when they went overseas to Toronto against the Blue Jays, they had a really tough series, lost both games over there. And
their pitching is really coming up short too.
Pitching is coming up.
He's not like that Cy Young winner that we've seen before.
When you expect the pitching to be so good and then it's on the downfall, not really too much hitting. I mean, we'll see what the Giants can do.
You still do have some amazing players.
But Posey is there on the team as well. Matt Cain has been doing decent. Barry Zito's back. Tim Lincecum has fallen. We're going to move on from some baseball to some soccer news. Massie has all the information that you guys are going to need with the last U.S. game. Massie?
Yeah, so the United States actually avoided another tie in the qualifiers. And they actually got a goal in stoppage time over Jamaica. A really athletic team is Jamaica. And the United States, we're seeing how they do without Landon Donovan and without players of his caliber. But they have some good young talent there. Their defenders are playing really sharp.
Yeah.
And like I said, that goal in stoppage time just showed how the United States team is going to be.
It's clutch.
Yeah, we're definitely hoping on them getting deep into that World Cup. And but like I said, their defenders, Omar Gonzalez, Matt Bessler, they're just having sharp tackles. They were playing amazing. Tim Howard had a few crucial saves that actually saved the game for them, and he played a decent game. But we need those strikers. We need those forwards to play a lot better. Probably get the ball quicker around. They played a really athletic team in Jamaica, but Jamaica's not much of a technical team like
Scoring threat.
Yeah, not really a team that they'd be playing like those European teams or some of those African teams, or when they run into those kind of teams, I don't think they're gonna be really prepared, to be honest. But as long as they keep this defending down and sharp, they'll find some ways to score. And who knows? You never know. You never know when you're watching some football. You never know.
Or football.
Yeah.
Should be interesting to see what the United States has in store for us. I mean, giving us some hope for possible going far in the World Cup. We'll see what happens in those years. Moving on to our final discussion of the night that we like to have every week. We're going to have a final discussion question I'm going to throw to my panel of analysts by my side. I'm going to answer a little bit myself. Tonight we're going to, sadly, Bay Area native NBA player Jason Kidd, raised and born in Alameda area, went to school, Cal, Berkeley. He's retired from the game after long time in the NBA. I mean, usually point guards don't stay as long as Jason Kidd has done, guys. But, I mean, 19 years in the NBA, I think it was time for him to hang up that jersey. He does have a championship ring to his credit. Thank God. I didn't want to see a player like him retire without one. It would have been a shame. A lot of players, people saying that he doesn't shoot too well, but according to the statistics, he's had 1,988 threes in his career. He's third or second all-time in assists with 12,091. And then also third all-time in triple-doubles, guys. I mean, player like Jason.
I didn't really know that until
Jason Kidd doing a lot of work.
Yeah.
Along with Oscar Robertson, possibly LeBron one day, but moving on from, or continuing with Jason Kidd, guys. Really sad to see a player like him go. Grant Hill retired as well with him, which is cool because they were both rookies of the year.
Yeah,
co-rookies of the year, retiring at the same time, same week. Pretty sad.
They had a plan.
Yeah, they did.
Sad moment for the NBA.
They called each other up.
Called each other up, said, we're going to retire. Hey, Jason, you going to retire tonight? Me too, Grant.
They probably wore the same color suit, too. So.
I mean, going off from that, Jason Kidd, where do you see him ranked, Tariq, among top point guards in the league? He does have that championship ring to his credit. Yeah, of all time. Where do you see Jason Kidd ranked? Top 5, top 10?
I see top 5.
Top 5?
I see there's not a lot of point guards that have his stats and the way he played the game. He wasn't the most athletic. He wasn't the killer instinct offense. But somehow he affected the game. I mean, most of his triple-doubles came with only 10 points, 11 points. It's not like he affected the game scoring. But I think, except for Magic Johnson I could think of, and Rajon Rondo that I could think of right now, I don't think of a point guard that could change the game, not only offensively without scoring, but defensively, rebounding the ball and steals and all that. So Jason Kidd was a unique player, and hopefully we see another Jason Kidd in this league. The way he played the game, the way he knowledged the game.
6'4".
So hopefully we see another Jason Kidd, but I'm gonna miss Jason Kidd. I love the way he played, even if he wasn't a scoring threat. He was hitting his threes. I mean, that Dallas Mavericks in 2011. Look at what we did to to the Los Angeles Lakers. The Dallas Mavericks,
swept them. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think most of the reasons Jason Kidd was that leader of that team, and there's not enough you can say about Jason Kidd, and I'm gonna miss him. And same thing with Grant Hill. Injuries messed up his career, but I didn't watch him in his young days.
Yeah.
But according to the people who did, he was the next upcoming MJ, but injuries messed him up.
Yeah. So what I'd say about Jason Kidd is in terms of there's Pistol Pete, there's John Stockton, Magic
Oscar
Johnson,
Robertson, Isaiah
Thomas. There's great point guards in the league. And what I see right now, as in Jason Kidd, he was a straight effort player.
Yep.
He was that guy that would die for those loose balls. He was the guy that would get those rebounds. He was the guy that would do anything for his team to win. Yeah, he had that ring with the Mavericks, but he actually went to the finals with the Nets.
Twice in a row.
Yeah, twice in a row,
Lakers.
and he was an effort player. That's what I'm trying to prove is that he was one of those guys. And now when you're seeing guys come into the league, they want to be those flashy players. They want to be those D Roses. They want to be those guys with 40-inch verticals that are just going crazy. And you're not going to have a long career like Jason Kidd did when you're trying to dunk over every person in their mom on the court. so Jason Kidd, he wasn't that crazy athletic freak. He wasn't jumping over people. He wasn't just sprinting down the court faster than people. But he played everything perfect. He wasn't getting those turnovers. And I mean, I don't see any other point guards being like Jason Kidd. And I couldn't name a point guard that's going to be like Jason Kidd. That's going to have a long career like his. He was Superman.
Could have players such as maybe Damian Lillard that can come close to him nowadays, but he doesn't have the passing ability nor defensive ability that Jason Kidd has. A lot of people laying Jason Kidd's careers comparing him and Steve Nash is a better point guard. No disrespect to Nash, but his defense compared to Jason Kidd is not even comparable.
If I would compare someone to Jason Kidd, though, that's in the league right now, it would be Steve Nash. Just because of their long careers and the way they've played.
They don't focus on athleticism.
Yeah,
more
and they focus more on getting their
passing.
teammates into the game. So
Just true, pure point guard. We don't see too many of that in the league as much anymore. A lot of freaks like Russell Westbrook, mainly a dunker. Curry, more of a shooter. Derrick Rose, maybe more of a two-guard trapped in a point guard's body.
Yeah, and Rondo has that shooting. Well, he's gonna eventually be a better shooter.
I think that's one guy that I could really see becoming another Jason Kidd because we all watch Rondo play and he's not an offensive threat.
I don't know.
Somehow he gets his 20. I don't know how. Somehow he gets his 20 points, but he's not that offensive.
He's shooting
threat.
that 3 now though.
But obviously he's improved his jump shot.
Yeah.
But Rondo really affects the game with his rebounding and the way he makes his teammates better. So I think that's one guy that I see a little close to Jason Kidd, the way he affects the game without having to score 20, 30, or even 40, 50. So. But again, there's no Jason Kidd.
And we'll see what Kyrie.
Like I said, he was a very unique player. Kyrie's more of a scorer.
Yeah,
Kyrie's that scoring mentality. He will go at it. He's one of the best closers I think we have in the game right now.
Yeah,
he's clutch.
Yeah,
Kyrie's clutch.
We both, I'm sure all three of us agree, Jason Kidd should be in the Hall of Fame when he retires.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Now another more
put him
harder
on the ballot for next
another a harder one would be Grant Hill retiring. Tariq, would you put him in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, why not? I think the way he had those first couple seasons, I think that was Hall of Fame worthy, and the way he continued over the years, coming back with injuries, knee injuries, and he had some solid, 3 to 4 seasons, the past couple seasons.
Yeah, he had a really solid season.
Yeah, I mean when he played with Steve Nash and Phoenix Suns. He was a really good role player. Yeah. He was out there defending Kobe Bryant.
14 points a game.
And with the past years with the Clippers, he was playing.
He always had he always had his mid-range jump shot. He was a very reliable mid-range shooter. And of course, when it comes down to defense, he was right up there guarding the best players.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, I'll put him there. Why not?
Put him in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I'd put him in the Hall of Fame solely because players don't have long careers like that where you're still making an impact at that age. So if you look at him now, the guy looks like he can fit in with the NBA commentators over there on ESPN. So
or maybe even us.
Yeah, maybe
us. Bring him. We'll get his contacts info.
Yeah, we'll bring him on the show.
Here. Put him on the show. Take our job.
Yeah, I definitely I see him on Hall of Fame. Because he's a household name. You think about it. If you ask a kid playing hoops down at the park, you ask him who's Grant Hill, he's gonna know who he is.
Hopefully.
Most likely.
Grant Hill and Jason Kidd, two of the really respectable people in the NBA organization. Got to see that their careers are being seen as high as they should be.
Yeah.
That'll wrap it up for us this week on Iman Sports. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for letting us take 30 minutes out of your day to give you guys analysis from our studio to you guys' living rooms. Once again, you could rewatch our show on YouTube on the Iman TV YouTube channel. You could also watch our show again on iman-tv.com. We're going to be here live again next week. Let you guys know, get you guys updated with the NBA Finals, see if Tracy McGrady gets a championship ring, see what else happens in the sports world. I know we have the Stanley Cup coming up, and we do have some more baseball and soccer for you guys as well. Hopefully some football off-season news picks up, and we'll bring that for you guys.
Go Eagles.
To Raider Nation. Well, that'll wrap it up for us this week, guys. My name is Yama Hazheer.
This is Tariq.
Massie Majidi.
We'll see you guys next week. Thank you and assalamu alaikum.